Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. My name's Dylan. If this is your first time here, it's a pleasure to meet you. If you're returning, welcome back. It's good to see you again. It's been a little while since I talked about anything on this channel, and today I want to change all that by talking about this little guy, the Sigma FP. Now, I debated buying this camera for months before pulling the trigger a few weeks ago, and it's safe to say that not only am I not disappointed, but this might be the most fun and unique camera that I've ever used. So today I want to talk to you about it. I want to tell you about my reasons for buying it, my first impressions after using it only for a few weeks, who I think this camera is really for, and why it's slowly becoming my absolute favorite thing to create with. So all of this footage you're looking at was captured on the Sigma FP. This little beast of a camera produces such a nice, natural looking, quality image that I've just fallen in love with. And not only is the image great, but it's a joy to work with and post. I'm editing in DaVinci Resolve, which is my main editor at the moment. And the camera is just super fun to use. You know, it's got this little EVF here that you look through and operate. And, you know, I can't remember the last time I had this much fun using a camera. But before we get into all of that, I did first want to tell you about why I was in the market for a camera in the first place. I think if you know a little bit more about the reasons why it became a right decision for me, then you may have an easier time or be better equipped to make the same sort of decision for yourself. So my wife and I are traveling to Thailand. We're going in about a month. It's a trip we're super excited about. We've been planning it since before the pandemic. But even before the flights, the hotels, and all the travel started to be booked, I found myself asking the inevitable question, what camera am I gonna bring? Those of you who are familiar with this channel know that I'm an avid Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K user. And those of you familiar with that camera, which I'm sure is a lot of you, know that it isn't really a pocket camera like the name suggests. The form factor is odd, and it's not very practical for high quality video capture in a daily outing or vacation setting. I don't know how many times I've forced my wife to pretend she doesn't know me in a public setting because I've lugged around, you know, this giant Pocket 4K rig. It takes over any situation where it's just the two of us trying to enjoy time together, and that's something I definitely didn't want to happen in Thailand. This is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I want to be present, but I still need to capture video, and I want it to be of a quality that I can be happy with and create great memories from. So I knew I wasn't going to take the Blackmagic, but what was I going to bring? It's time to search for a new one. So the first thing I always ask myself when I'm looking for a new piece of gear is, what do I need it for? And what I mean by that is, what are the criteria by which I'm gonna measure whether this camera is a good fit for me or not? And we've already discussed one of those. It has to be small, it has to be compact, it has to be easy to manage and operate while on the go. And it needs to be something that doesn't necessarily need to be rigged up like the 4K in order to be used effectively. Next up, and this is a big one for me, is image quality. There are so many cameras out there, and they all boast good image quality, not just good, you know, great image quality. But it's not necessarily about the resolution or the sensor size or the frame rate options for me. It really is about the cinematic quality of an image. The thing I love most about my Pocket 4K is that the image it puts out isn't overly sharp or digital looking. It's soft, it's buttery. It has great versatility in post. It has good dynamic range. So that's what I'm looking for in this new camera. High quality, raw if possible, cinematic image that's not too sharp, and it just doesn't look exactly like all the other mirrorless cameras that there are on the market today. And the last thing I needed this camera to have was a good price. We already spent a lot on our trip to Thailand. I didn't want to have to break the bank in buying a new camera body. So a reasonable price tag as far as camera bodies go was essential. And that's it. Those are my criteria. Those are my must-haves. Now it was time to begin the search. Here's what I found. The Sigma FP, the world's smallest full-frame mirrorless camera. Suddenly, here was a camera that ticked all my boxes. It was small and compact, literally small enough to fit in my pocket. It boasted a fantastic image quality on par with that of my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, a price tag that was reasonable and rivaled all of its competitors, and a raw media format that blended seamlessly with my DaVinci Resolve workflow. And did I mention it's not just any RAW, we're talking 12-bit CinemaDNG Uncompressed RAW. The camera is literally taking a raw DNG photo for every single frame of video you see. That not only allows you to produce a super high quality cinematic looking image, but it also allows you to recover vital detail and information in post, push and pull colors with ease, and the result has been just absolutely fantastic for me so far. I've been using it with the EVF attachment, sold separately, super awesome accessory. It's essential in my opinion, and it just attaches to the side right here, like so. And it screws on the side here with a little screw point just like that, and it's got a nifty little switch on the side here so you can switch between LCD and EVF mode really easily. I got this nicey rig half cage which gives you this great handle which makes it a lot easier to hold, improves the ergonomics of it a little bit. And finally Samsung T5 1TB solid state hard drive that I record to, just velcroed really easily, simply here to the bottom and connected via USB on the side. And that's it. That's my whole rig. The Sigma FP has all the standard exposure tools that I've become used to using the Pocket 4K, like false color and a waveform monitor. It has a dedicated switch on top so you can easily switch between video and stills modes, plus a whole host of customizable presets for each mode. The menu system is not the simplest I've ever seen. It definitely took me a little while to figure out how to program all the custom settings, and I'm still tweaking my settings as I discover more of the cool things that this camera can do. There's a few weird but cool features on this thing that I haven't seen on any other camera before, like the DC crop mode, which is basically, a toggle that you can switch to turn it into a crop sensor, which then allows you to not only use full frame glass, but a whole host of APS-C lenses like these ones as well, which is weird, but awesome. It also has the ability to make cinemagraphs in camera, and I don't know why that was included, but it's really neat, really fun. Finally, I haven't even mentioned this yet, but it takes great stills. I just haven't seen anything out there like this camera, and every day I'm discovering something new to love about it. So what's not to love? Well, honestly, there are a few things some people will consider flaws. Some even may consider them deal breakers, and I'll talk about those right now. First off, there's no in-body image stabilization. And what that means is that if you're operating this thing handheld like I am most of the time, and you're not using a lens with built-in optical stabilization, you're gonna experience some camera shake. And because of the camera's size and weight, the quality of the shakiness is those little micro jitters, those little tiny shakes that are just not great. Now, most of the time you can take these jitters out in post by using stabilization, but you end up having to do it to almost every clip, which can be very time consuming and tedious, especially if video editing is not your thing. It's the reason I think the EVF attachment is so essential. It creates that third point of contact, making achieving stable handheld footage out of this thing that much easier. The trade-off is the EVF is $700, so you're adding $700 on top of the $1,500 price tag, which starts to, get into the realm of, is it affordable? Should I be spending more money on a different camera body? But that's up to every individual. For me, the EVF is essential, and still the $2,200 price tag is a great deal for what you're getting out of this tiny full frame beast. Next up, no continuous autofocus for video. Now, I usually never use autofocus when shooting video, so it wasn't a huge negative for me, but I was planning to use this mainly as like a point and shoot walk around camera, so it would have been nice to just have the option to throw autofocus on and not have to worry about everything looking nice and sharp. But in this day and age, when almost every camera that comes out boasts superior autofocus tech, it's a little bit of a disappointment. And next up, absolutely gargantuan file sizes. When you're shooting 12-bit CinemaDNG RAW at 4K UHD, every minute of video you shoot is going to take up about 22 gigabytes of space on your hard drive, which is insane. That means a 1TB SSD like the Samsung T5s that I use are only going to hold about 45 minutes of video footage, period. Beyond shooting in HD or 10-bit or 8-bit instead of 12, there's nothing you can do about that. Now, what I've been doing to manage file sizes in post is using an open source program called SlimRAW to compress those raw CinemaDNG files to about 1/3 of their original size with no noticeable drop in quality. None that I've noticed so far. It's still pretty heavy, but it makes it much more manageable than that raw, uncompressed CinemaDNG. But I'd be interested to know what your experience has been with working with the files that come out of the Sigma FP. Have you guys been using SlimRAW? Have you found any other solutions? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for for ways to improve my workflows. Those are all the negatives for me, those three. There are a couple other things that people have mentioned in talking about this camera, you know, like the menu system's not being the greatest. There is a touch screen, but you can't use it for what you would assume. You can't use it for menu navigation, which is kind of a bummer. You do not have the ability to shoot 120 frames per second in 4K or even 60 frames per second in 4K, which is super surprising. But given the price tag, how fun this thing is to use, the image quality coming out of it, the unique features that it has, I think it's worth it. I'm willing to look past all of that. But that's me. That's my personal preference, which brings me to my final point. Who is this camera really for? In all honesty, that's a really hard question. I feel like the Sigma FP is for very few people, actually. If you're a freelancer looking for a new A camera for your professional video work, this may not be the best option because it's missing a lot of key features that other prosumer or professional level cameras have, and you're gonna have to add a lot of extras, in my opinion, to be able to use it efficiently in a professional environment. If you're just starting out in videography or photography, this may not be the best option for you because you're gonna have to have some experience in camera operation if you wanna get good handheld footage out of it with the least amount of camera shake. And you're gonna need to know a little bit about post-production in order to be able to understand and manage the workflow and be able to create a pleasing image out of the raw files it spits out. That's not to say it couldn't be a great tool to learn all of these things, but there is a lot of potential for frustration there. Honestly, I think this camera is for people like me who just love odd technology. People who love the tactile element of operating a camera, just holding it in your hands and capturing footage. The Sigma FP is becoming my favorite tool to create with because I get excited about using it. I love the way it feels in my hands when I do use it. I love the fact that I can take it basically anywhere and not have to worry about it taking over every situation. And I just love the images I'm able to create with it. It's by no means a perfect camera, but it doesn't have to be. It's a great one for me. It speaks to me personally. It makes me want to express myself creatively. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found the information helpful. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and definitely consider subscribing for more videos just like this one. Let me know your experiences with the Sigma FP. Did you buy one? Are you considering buying one? Let's talk about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.